What's up, guys? It's your boy Diko Khan Talks, and today we're going to be talking about a topic that hits very much at home. Basically, I'm 26 years old, I'm unemployed, and I'm in a serious amount of debt. Yeah, as the video topic has rightfully stated. You know, I always had this mentality that, when you are growing up, you are going to have a very clear headway of where you're going to in life. And I always assumed that life is going to be the way that you anticipated. Yeah, that's the right word to use, anticipated. But for most of us, we end up discovering too late that life isn't really that way. And life ends up being full of, different kinds of mosaics. I said mosaics, I'm sorry, mosaics, or it's like an art puzzle. Life is really like an art puzzle. You don't anticipate the kind of events you are going to face. So yeah, back in 2023, that was the year I graduated from ABU. That's the school I went to. For those who don't know ABU, ABU is Ahmadu Bello University Zaria. Yeah, it's located in Nigeria, particularly within the state of Kaduna. Yeah. So I graduated from Ahmadu Bello University Zaria, and then I came back home after graduation. Came back home after graduation. That was around October, if I am not mistaken. That was around October, yeah. So basically, after finishing, I thought, I could start and pursuing my interests, those things that I actually want to do to make a living for myself, to chase my dreams, as they would say, to chase my dreams. But unfortunately, not only did I realize that chasing your dreams actually entails a lot, but I still had one more obstacle ahead of the way. And I won't really call it an obstacle. I would say it's more of like a stepping stone to my life's, career and all that. But you can look at it as an obstacle, you can look at it the other way. It really depends. It really depends on how you wish to look at it, you know. It really depends on how you wish to look at it. But basically, me, I would say it was something that I had to overcome. That is, it was something that I had to go through before I could finally enter the labor market. And we all know what this scheme is. It's called NYSC. Yeah, that's the National Youth Service Corps. Yeah. It is the special orientation program designed for all graduates who have graduated from tertiary institutions, be it polytechnics, colleges, or the more popular one, universities. Exactly. So, when I started the process of trying to get enrolled into NYSC, that also was a bit of a hurdle. I had to spend some time at home first because I tried applying for batch one, the batch A1, batch A2, they did it in different batches. And why I'm saying A1, A2 is because, when we say batch A means the first batch of that year. So batch A is basically the first, they do it in alphabetical uh, serializations. They do it in alphabetical serials, but it stops at C. So there is batch A, there is batch B, there is batch C. So basically, if you were a batch A, for instance, and the number within batch A is a lot, what the NYSC officials normally do is that they divide you all into two streams. There is stream 1, there is stream 2. So I tried applying for stream, I won't really say batch A stream 2 though. I didn't apply for stream batch A stream 2. Neither did I apply for batch A stream 1 because our certificate was not ready at the time for us to go forward with the NYSC registration. Yeah, it wasn't ready at the time. So if you intended on going for the service, your certificate had to be ready, meaning it had to be already issued to you by your institution. Of which, if it was not issued to you by your institution, you can't go forward with the registration because it is a very important aspect of the registration process. Yeah. So, our certificates weren't ready at the time, and the time they would be ready was not made clear. So, it was a little bit of wait I had to go through. I would say around 2024 January. That's when we now had the certificates ready because that's when we were able to now go and get it. We collected our statements December. Would I say December? No, I think it was January too. Yeah, it was January. We collected our statements January, and we still collected the certificates as well around February or so, if I'm not mistaken. We collected the certificates as well. Yeah. So basically, you know, it really. Oh, I think I'm mixing things up. I'm sorry. I'm actually mixing things up. The statements of results were ready during the month of January. That was 2024. So the certificates were ready during the middle of the year. Although I collected mine last year, which was 2025. Yeah, 2025, that's when I collected mine. So we only had the statement of results with us, and we could only use that to go forward with the registration for NYC. Exactly. So moving forward, we collected the statement of results, and I couldn't register for batch A, 1, and 2 because the period had already passed. So the one I could go and begin the registration for was batch B, stream 1. Now, batch B, stream 1, we were a lot as well. Yeah. The amount of people that were going to register for batch B, stream 1 were numerous in number. And so a lot of people were not given the opportunity to register then. Exactly. They weren't really given the opportunity to register. So, that being the case, some other people now had to settle for batch B stream 2, which is the category that I fall within. Exactly. It's the category I fall within. So, batch B stream 2 is the second part of the batch B grouping as a whole. It's the second part of the batch B grouping. Those that were successful in registering for batch B stream 1 were not so lucky to go for that batch B stream 1. Some of them, not all. Some were lucky to go for that batch B stream 1, some were not lucky. So the ones that were not lucky had to now go for batch B stream 2. Yeah, they were shifted down to the batch B stream 2 process. And so once that was done, they were shifted down to that process. They now had to go and register again for the batch B stream 2 so that they will now have their details logged in for that particular grouping. So yeah, I was registered, and I now was ready to go for the camp process and all that. So we entered camp in August 20 something, 2024. That's when we entered camp. And camp, I won't say camp was grievous like that or bad, but I would say it was challenging. Camp was really challenging for somebody who wasn't really, ready for it initially. Camp was really challenging. So back then, when we entered camp, you had your drills, the normal military kind of exercise, the training, and all that. You had different kinds of things that you will go to. Exactly, that you must engage in, and it's part of military procedure because the way they regimented the activities within camp is very similar to the military structure as well. Yeah, there are no differences. It's very similar. So that was how we finished the camp. The camp was just a minimum of 3 weeks. Yeah, we finished the camp. And so once camp was done, we now were posted to our different PPAs. What a PPA means is primary place of assignment. Yeah, that's what it means. In NYSC, your PPA is your primary place of assignment. What a primary place of assignment is where you have been posted to go and, serve the nation. Exactly. That place might be private, it might be public. But regardless, that is where you are going to be carrying out your assignment, that is your PPA. Yeah. And hence why I said the NYSC structure is very similar to that of the military. It's very similar to that of the military because just as you are done with your training session within the military, you are going to be posted to different barracks. You might be posted to different institutions. You might be posted to different governmental places. Yeah. That's how it is also within NYC. There are not much differences there as well. So, going forward, I was posted to my own PPA, and, it's a university. I won't mention the name. For those that already know my books, of course, they will know the university I'm talking about, but I won't mention the name here. So I was posted to a university, I was posted to the unit that has to do with academic planning. Yeah, that was the unit I was posted to. And yeah, I started my own service on October 7th, 2024. So yeah, service was not bad, I won't lie. Service was good. Service was good then, You had a lot of fun moments. You also had the bad ones as well. And then you also have the the very confusing ones. Yeah, just as they say, the good, the bad, and the unknown. Exactly. Or they would say the ugly. That's it. So, service itself too wasn't too bad. There were a lot of moments that I experienced then that I won't really say I want to experience them again, but honestly, they do bring back memories. Yeah, they do bring back memories, honestly. Most times we're doing things that had to do with course allocation, accreditation. For those of us that don't know what accreditation is, it's basically what the governing agency of a particular country with regards to universities affairs is what that agency does that has to do with the supervision of courses within the regulation and supervision of courses within a particular tertiary institution. It might be polytechnic, although the polytechnics have their own agencies separate for that. Even the colleges do. But for university in Nigeria, it's called the National Universities Commission. Yeah, they are the ones in charge of that. And apart from that, you also have professional bodies that carry out all this as well. Yeah. You also have professional bodies too that carry out all this. You have if I can remember clearly, you have the Medical Laboratory Science Council of Nigeria, right? That's MLSNC, or I don't, it's a really long, I won't lie. But there are some I do remember, like Arcon. Is it Arcon? Architects Council or something, something. There is MDCN, yes. There's MDCN, Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria. Different kinds of professional bodies that also handle the accreditation process as well. It's not only NUC. NUC is the main head, and these professional bodies must act accordingly to NUC's terms. They can't act or go on their own terms. It's not possible. So we did a lot of accreditation. We also did a lot of resource verification as well. Yeah, we did resource verification. Now, what resource verification is that it is the preparation of an institution, the preparedness of an institution for the introduction of a particular course they want to bring into the system. Yeah, that's basically what that one is. It is the preparation for that course to see if you have the relevant materials in place, you have the relevant items in place, or if you have the particular personnel who are going to provide the know-how for that particular course, i.e., the lecturers, the assistant technicians, and all that. Yeah, that is basically what resource verification is. The agency is coming to verify that you have those things in place so that when the time comes for you to actually begin the accreditation and to actually begin the enrollment of such course, you are not going to have any hiccups along the way. Now, the accreditation, like I said before, is like a supervision mechanism in that it makes sure that you have been following the rules and regulations, the stipulations, and the quality assurance that is needed to make sure that those courses you've been running are running in alignment or in compliance with NUC policies. Yeah, that's basically what it is. They are It's just like checks and balances. Yeah, it's checks and balances essentially. That's what it is. So, they do that every 4 years, although it differs. Some courses might be 5 years, some might be 6 years. It differs in accordance with the kind of course being accredited. Yeah. So, it was after then that we now finished the accreditation, the resource verification. We did a lot of that. Then there was also the NUC digest we also did. That one too was another, kind of mechanism we did as well. A lot of that, a lot of that. I won't lie. So that's basically what the service was really all about. And then obviously you have the normal administrative kind of duties. Yeah, you have a normal administrative kind of duties that you do. So, you know, all in all, after the period within service, I finished my service on August 7th, 2025. And from there, life began, I guess. Life began, I guess. You finish service, and then, we were promised, or I won't say I was really promised, because let me be honest. Initially, I didn't want to work there. Yeah. In NYC, there is a procedure, although it's not invoked itself by the institutional body of NYC. No. You have to be the one to struggle and get there yourself. In NYC, there's a kind of like term that they have for coppers. That's basically what they are called. Those who are posted to different PPAs, they are called coppers. Yeah. And those who went to the training camps for the NYC orientation program, they are called PCMs. What a PCM is prospective corps member. Yeah, that's basically what a PCM is. So there's this mechanism in NYC, although it, like I said, is an individual process. You have to run that yourself, whereby the PPA can retain you after finishing service. Yeah, the PPA can retain you after finishing service. That's the mechanism they have, and or if you wish to use that process, you can. If you don't want to, you can leave it. It all depends on you. Exactly. You will have to be the one to initiate the process yourself. It's not the institutional body of NYC that will initiate it for you. So, initially, I didn't want to do that. I'll be honest. I didn't want to do that. Maybe that was one of the reasons why I didn't later get retained, or I don't know. But coming towards the end of my service, I changed my mind. I was like, I want to actually get retained by this PPA. Yeah, I want to work with them, and I want to like contribute meaningfully to the educational sector. That was my interest initially. But yeah, as all stories in life go, I wasn't really lucky. I applied and I wasn't even called for an interview. Yeah, it was that bad. I applied and I wasn't even called for an interview. This same year, 2026, I still wasn't called for an interview. So it was a little bit sad. Let me put it that way. It was a little bit sad, but that's it for the PPA. That chapter closed. Once that chapter closed, I had to now start looking for other ways to, to apply. I applied in other I applied for other jobs in other places. There was even a time I was called for an interview in Stella Maris. There's one school called Stella Maris International. I don't know, is it international or just Stella Maris schools? I don't know, but that's what they call it. They have different branches in the country. But basically, the one I went to, I think, is located within Garki, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's located within Garki. There was only a time I went for one interview, mine, discovering talents too. But as the case went by, no information, no like feedback, no feedback. I wasn't called back. I was also, I also tried enrolling for all these online initiatives, all these youth programs. There's one, it's called One Afri Invest program like that. I tried enrolling for it. That also didn't work, apparently. They rejected me. They rejected me. It was so confusing that they even took their time to send the rejection letter. There was even while I was even serving, before I applied for the institution that I told you guys about that I applied for, that is the PP I served in. Before I even applied for that, there was even a council I applied for. It's called the Danish Refugee Council. Yeah, the Danish Refugee Council. I also applied for that, but they also sent me a letter of rejection. Yeah. Hey, there are a lot though. If I'm going to go over that, there are a lot. The amount of people that rejected my applications, there are actually a lot. But these are just a few that I have mentioned. Exactly, these are just a few. So you see, the issue, that's how life just went on. I kept on applying, applying, applying. I even started going the route of online. I even started going the online route. I even applied for, the one job is called calls experts. You do you basically what you're going to do is that uh you're going to be a customer service representative. That's basically what it is. You're going to be a customer service representative. You're going to be answering a lot of calls. You're going to be making a lot of calls. I even applied for that as well, but well, unfortunately, that did not go as planned as well either. You know, the funniest part is the day I conducted the interview for that, I was rejected the same day. I was rejected the same day. Like, it gets crazy to a point because, when you face so much rejection, you start questioning your own existence. Like, am I that useless? Like, that's what you start asking yourself. Am I really that useless? That this is how much the companies that, have their own perceived, perception on my life. Is this how much they view me as being a useless being? Because how would you reject someone to this point? Like, I mean, even if you don't like someone, honestly, you can, there's this thing companies do. Like, if they don't want to give you that particular position you applied for, there is a particular mechanism they have in their systems that they normally they change the role. Yeah, they change the role. Honestly speaking, they change the role. Like if they don't want to give you that particular job, what they'll do is they will now change the role. They will give you another how am I going to put it? They will give you another kind of role. It might not be exactly the role you applied for, but it will be something significantly different. Yeah. But regardless, at least they gave you a job. At least they gave you a job. It might not be the one you wanted, but still they gave you a job. That's the whole point. They have to give you a job. So look at the way I'm saying it, the way they have to give you a job as if it's something mandatory on their heads. It's not a mandatory thing. It's not mandatory. They have the choice to choose whether they can give you the job or not. It's not mandatory. It's not mandatory at all. So, going forward, I applied for many jobs. That's the whole point I'm trying to make. I applied for many jobs and I was rejected by a lot of them. I was rejected by a lot of them. It was sad and it was beyond bewildering. It was bewildering because you were wondering why they are doing you like this. Also, to PS, let me make a note. You see, the timeline of all these applications are significantly different. So some are within 2026, some are 2025, some are even 2024. So please don't get them mistaken. It's not all at once I did the applications. They spread across this entire period of 2 years. Yeah, all these things I'm telling you about, they spread across the entire period of 2 years. So it's not a one period event kind of thing. No, it's not that. So yeah, Basically, that's how the struggle continued. So, when I wasn't given a job by my PPA, I realized that I really need to help myself. Yeah, I really need to help myself. And that's when I tried to go. Before all this, I was already a content creator. I was into content creation. There were a lot I was doing with regards to content creation. I had my ways, I had the things that I used to do. But like all content creation applications and all content creation apps, it's not going to be easy for you to break even. Yeah, it's really not going to be easy for you to break even because the competition is high. And unless you are willing to bring something significantly unique or innovative, it's hard for people to just click on your video and view your own content only. Yeah, it's really hard. It's really hard for them to do that. So, it's one of the reasons why you see even content creators are finding it hard to even break even within the content creation market. It's one of the reasons why. And you know, that's actually why I ended up leaving the content creation for some time. Yeah, I ended up leaving it. And then again, I still tried applying for jobs. Then I came across then I came across one job application like that. Yeah. It was an ad on YouTube. It was an ad on YouTube. The ad on YouTube was particularly it was particularly one kind of ad. It's an ad for a virtual, just like that same customer service representative I was telling you about. Yeah, just like that same customer service representative role I was telling you guys about. It's also an ad for a virtual kind of assistant. Yeah, a virtual service. I also applied for that, but when I applied, I was rendered to a WhatsApp group. Yeah, I was rendered to a WhatsApp number. Yeah, I was supposed to go and, you know, apply via WhatsApp. I don't know where they do that, but it's a crazy story. Let's go on. So I was going to apply in WhatsApp, and when I applied in WhatsApp, she got back to me. Apparently, it was a female. It was a female recruiter. I don't even understand how that's the case, but well, let's go on. It was a female recruiter who was not a native of Nigeria. She was a foreigner. Yeah, she was a foreigner, and I was introduced to one kind of platform. Yeah, I was introduced to one kind of platform like that. Although I won't be mentioning the platform, but I was introduced to a platform. And so the platform basically is just like all this Amazon M Talk, micro workers, but it's kind of unique in a way in which that you have to pay to perform the tax. Yeah, you have to pay to perform the tax and also get rewarded. Of course, from the offset, some people will immediately flag this as a red flag because this is what they call MMMs. Yeah, money making machines. Yeah, this is what they call MMMs and Ponzi schemes in a way. That's what people will flag it as because actually it doesn't make sense for you to have to pay to perform tasks or even get your rewards for performing those tasks. It doesn't make sense anywhere you go. But basically, that's what it was. Yeah, it was an MMM. Yeah, but and then though we're still on it though. We're still on it. So funny enough, I actually paid. I paid for it. Yeah, I actually paid for the MMM, and that's how we just went on with it. Yeah, okay, I guess we just went on with it. We went on. I was actually doing the tax. I was getting my rewards actually. I actually started with the first level, then I went on straight up to the third level. I didn't even do the intersection, which is the second level. Me, I just went up to the third level, and I was making my money from there too. Then I was introduced to another platform by my friend. Yeah, I was introduced to another platform by my friend, which was very similar to this as well. It's very similar to this other platform I was introduced to. Yeah. I won't be mentioning the name of that either, though, because there are a lot. Yeah, if I should mention the amount of platforms I was introduced to, there are actually a lot. But I'm only mentioning this particular two because they are the ones that were much more significant in why I'm currently in the debt. Yeah, Exactly. They are the ones that are much more significant. So basically, the second platform I was introduced to was very similar to this one. The first platform, the task you had to perform was you will serve or rent out bikes, apparently. Digitally, you will rent out bikes and you will be given a percentage for the amount of bikes you have been able to rent out. Exactly. That's basically what it is. And the other platform I was introduced to, you would read books. Yeah, it's books you'll be reading, and you will be paid commission for reading those books. And just like the former platform, you also have to pay to perform tasks and also get your rewards. So when you put your two and two together, you realize that wait, doesn't it sound too good to be true? Isn't all this weird? Well, for the second platform, it is too good to be true. Yeah, it sounded too good to be true because I joined that platform. The former platform I joined it in September 2025. Yeah, on a Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. It was on a Wednesday I joined that first platform on the 27th of September 2025. Yeah, that was when I joined that first platform. The second platform was on the well, basically in February. I can't really remember the day. Yeah, I can't remember the day when I joined that second platform. It was in February. Yeah. So, in February, the platform was still booming. The second one. Yeah, the platform was still booming. Keep in mind, I had a lot of debt on my head though. Around 200,000 naira plus. Yeah, I had a lot of debt on my head. That's prior to the first platform. And then the second platform I had, that is, I joined, I had a maximum of, I think, 800,000 naira debt, if I'm not mistaken. Over 800,000 naira. Yeah. This is just to give you a, gross form figure of what I was really owing. Exactly. It's just to give you a gross form figure of what I was really owing then and what I'm still going to be owing now. Exactly. So, back then, that's how the platforms continued. We're on the platforms, we're going, going, going. We're making our money, we're enjoying life. Only for us to get a reality check. It happened just some weeks back. Yeah. It's not even a week back. Am I? Is this week it happened? Yeah, it's this week it happened. On which day? It was on Tuesday. Today is 12, right? Today is 12 because yesterday was 11th. So that would mean Friday was 9th, Thursday was 8th, Wednesday was 7th, and Tuesday was 6th. So on the 6th of July 2026, that was when the most catastrophic event of all time occurred. That was when it happened. You see, on that day, that was actually the time that they decided to pack up. Yeah, that was the time they decided to pack up. People have already known, some people have already known that this is a Ponzi scheme. It's not a very legitimate, it's a Ponzi scheme, it's an MMM. So obviously, something being an MMM, a Ponzi scheme, it's gonna definitely have a period that it will end. And well, for the second platform, that period was on Tuesday, on the 6th of July, 2026. It was a catastrophic day. People lost millions. People lost millions. For those of us that are good researchers, we will know the kind of platform I'm talking about. Yeah, you will know the kind of platform I'm talking about. For those of us that are good researchers. But, you know, continuing on with the story, it was catastrophic. I was just, having a nap on my bed. I was having a nap on my bed and I was just, trying to, rest for that day. Only for me to get calls from my colleagues. Yeah, specifically my two friends. I got calls from my two friends. Then I got a third call again. I was wondering what is going on. Why are they calling me like this? So me, I now decided, okay, let me go and check the app. That was the first thing that came to my mind. Anytime I see my colleagues giving me calls like that in a particular sequence, it signals to me that there is danger. Because they don't call me all at once. Mind you, these colleagues don't live together. Oh. One is in another part of Abuja entirely. Another one is shared with me in Kubwa. Then another one is in Idu. Yeah, there's a place called Idu. Yeah. So when the three of them called me all at once, I'm like, no, this can't be a coincidence. There's something wrong going somewhere. There's something wrong going on. Exactly. It can't be a coincidence. That's when immediately I went and I checked the app. And to my greatest horror, I realized that they have started packing up. That is the platform. They put a paywall behind the particular, tax page, the way you perform your tax. They put a paywall behind the particular tax page. Now the paywall bar, it what they were clearly saying here is that you have to top up your initial deposit. I told you guys you have to pay before you can perform the tax and all that. So they were now saying you have to top up to perform the tax that you want to perform. You are going to have to top up. And obviously, it doesn't make sense because people have already topped up once. So why should they top up twice again? It doesn't make sense. So a lot of people were now panicking. I myself, I started panicking because I'm like, why are we topping up for something that, has already been given its fair share due of deposit? Why do we have to top up again? Long story short, we ended up waiting, and who could ever see it coming? Their website stopped going. It was showing 404 not found. Oh my god, 404 not found. That's why it was showing. Exactly. Then there was a little word behind under the 404. Yeah, the 404 not found statement. There was a word under it. It was called NGINX. Yeah, NGINX. That was the word under it. 404 not found. The entire background was black. There was nothing else. People were devastated. I myself I couldn't sleep well that day. I couldn't sleep well that day because when you've already put your mind that something is going to be your main source of income and then it crashes, of course your world is going to go into chaos. For the next 2 to 3 days, I was just confused. I didn't even know what to do. Then to make matters worse, that same day, a girl I was doing her project for, she ended up. That is another story too that I would have to go into detail for. Back then I was running a research project for a particular girl. Yeah, I won't mention her name. Neither will I mention the institution that I was running the project for because I don't want any problems. I was doing the project for her. Exactly. And unfortunately, due to some bickering here and there, the girl is a little bit rude, I won't lie. She's even rude entirely, not a little bit. She's very rude. She was, making the claim that I was extorting her. And I was telling her that no, this is not extortion. That if she feels like I'm extorting her, she should go to other people. And so she decided to go on with my work, and I did it for her. We had already completed her research project. For undergraduates, they have to perform a research project. They have to, conduct a research project, and it has to be approved by the institution for it to be signed off and used as grading for their particular, degree program. Exactly. So basically, we I conducted the project for her, which is the research proposal part of it. Yeah, the research project proposal. Yeah, the research project proposal. I did it for her, and her chapter 1, 2, 3 was approved. So she wanted me to go forward with it. Long story short, we had another bickering yet again, and then she ended up saying I cheated her. Yeah, we had our back and forth. I was telling her she was disrespectful, she was telling me this, and that's how we ended up on a bad note. And me, I did not want any more nonsense from her anymore. And so I told her that let her just send her account note details. Let me send her back her initial deposit that she made. Exactly. And so I sent back the deposit I made for her. That was not on the day though. She sent it, and then I was supposed to send her the deposit on Wednesday. Yeah, I was supposed to send the deposit to her on Wednesday, which was 7th of July 2026. Unfortunately, we all saw what happened with the platform I told you that crashed. And so, unfortunately, I was left in a dire situation. And I couldn't, I was thinking of how am I going to pay back this very rude girl her money and the rest. And so, what now came to my mind was I now try to use the pity tactic. That was foolish of me, though. I won't lie. That was really foolish of me. I tried to use the pity tactic. I ended up, trying to convince her that, oh, I just went through a devastating loss. The platform I invested in has crashed. That I'm willing to make a compromise with her. That she should leave the 90K with me and I'll do the rest of her project for her and I'll do any corrections. Only for her to hit me with she has already given someone else her project to do. That her she's tired, she wants her money back. ah, it was a very chaotic day for me. Like, so now I had two things on my head. My only source of income that I was trying to use to build myself crashed, and then the girl also wanted her money back. I had to still go back and borrow again. I told you guys I was initially in debt. Yeah, I told you guys I was initially in debt, and I still had to go and borrow again. So, long story short, at the end of the day, I had to borrow to pay her back once again. And after borrowing to pay her back once again, I now ended up, after borrowing to pay her back once again, I ended up with more debt, and yeah, my source of income crashed. So honestly, to conclude that chapter, it was sad. I ended up with a huge amount of debt on my head. That second platform had crashed, and now I don't even have a gig I was doing, which was the research project I was telling you guys about. And all this is just a very small aspect of another story entirely I went through. I also got scammed. I also got scammed, honestly speaking. I was so desperate for work that I ended up trying to get the job by paying for it. Yeah. It's not really a good practice, but in Nigeria, there are certain jobs that you have to actually pay for before you get them. Unfortunately, there are certain jobs you actually have to pay for before you get them. So, honestly, I thought I would get this job. That was my thinking. I thought I would get this job and I thought I would finally be employed. It was, a replacement slot for the NSCDC. Yeah, that's the civil defense. Yeah, they call it civil defense in Nigerian terms. We call it civil defense, but its full meaning is actually the Nigerian security something something. Sure, its full abbreviation is NSCDC. Yeah, that's what it is. NSCDC. So honestly, I was given this number to me by a colleague. Yeah, and I called the number, and I was thinking that I would be able to, you know, get the job freely. I don't have to pay anything. But when I called the number, the man now, I would be using abbreviations too for their names. I would say the man A. Man A was telling me that I have to call man B. Yeah. So he gave me man B's number. Exactly. He gave me man B's number. And man B's number was, he was claiming that he was the commandant for Abuja's headquarters. And so I called man B. Man B, I told him, I'm looking for a job and everything. Man B was now telling me I have to pay money for the khaki. That is the actual uniform you are going to get. The actual uniform, you have to pay for it. Yeah, that was something I didn't even think about because the same thing with NYC, we had to pay for the uniforms as well. As in not the uniforms, we didn't have to really pay for the uniforms, but what I mean is we had to pay for some things. Obviously, it's not everything that was free for us. We had to pay for some things ourselves. So I didn't think about it. I paid for it. Yeah, I paid for the uniform, After paying for it, I told man A I've paid. Man A was now telling me that I should go back and pay that okay, now that I should call man B again. Man B called me back and was now telling me now I have to pay for the white I'm going to wear in the training camp. In my head, I was like, but white, come on, why are we paying for that? Aren't you supposed to give us that for free? But because of desperation, desperation is really a sad thing. If you're desperate for something, you won't even know when you're doing it, I swear. So that's how I still had to pay again for the whites. I ended up borrowing and I paid for it again. And I know after paying, I called man A again. I told him I paid. Then man B now, I now called man B. The man B again now called me and was now telling me that, oh, you have to pay for something again. Oh, what was it? He was even telling me I have to pay for. There are so much things I pay for that even me, I'm beginning to forget. It's so crazy. I pay for so many things that even me, I'm even starting to forget how many things I paid for. So you see, man B was telling me I have to pay for something again. Me in my head, I'm not like, what else do I have to pay for again? He was not telling me that the thing I would have to pay for is, the placements, that is the posting. Yeah, they don't want me to be posted to states like Abia State, Umaya, all those far distances, because me, I'm a northerner. I'm from the north. I'm from Bauchi State, that is the northeast of this country. I'm from the north, Bauchi State. And so a northerner being, employed by the civil defense is obviously going to be posted to a place that is not north, which is south, definitely. And so sometimes you might be posted to the southwest, which includes the Yoruba lands, or you might be posted to the southeast, which includes the Igbo lands, or even Abia State, or even the middle south, which is all them Akwa Ibom, Delta, and so on. So me, I was like, okay, I would have to pay for that again. Initially, I didn't have the money. I paid small. Later on, he called me that I have to pay the remaining. I still pay. I was really foolish. I was really desperate for the job. I didn't use my two and two. I was just paying. So, that's how I ended up paying for that one yet again. I ended up paying for that one. When I ended up paying for that again, after I paid for that again, the next day, he called me again, and then he told me that I have to pay for food. The food, water, and so many things I would have to be taken in the camp. That's Mambi, right? Mambi called me again. In my head, I was like, food again? Aren't you going to be the ones to give us that? Then I called Man A and told him Man A was telling me that yes, it's true that you have to pay for that and everything. And I told him, me, I don't have this money. I don't have it anymore. I am broke. I am in debt. I don't even have anything again. How am I going to pay for all this? And it was getting to, the next day was Salah. Yeah, that is Eid ul Kabir, Eid ul Adha. Yeah, that was the next day. The next day was Salah, Eid ul Adha. That's the Islamic celebration after the first Salah, Eid al Fitr. Yeah, after some time. It is after Ramadan that they celebrate Eid al-Fitr, but it is after, you know, the Arafat day. The Arafat day that Eid al-Adha is celebrated. Exactly. So, you know, all this was happening a day to Salah. And I was like, I don't have the money this man is looking for. Why is he terrorizing me like this? And so I now decided, I just sat down. I was confused. I didn't even know what to do. That's when I now even consulted my siblings about it, and I was now like, I need their help and everything. Long story short, we ended up borrowing the money and I paid. After paying, could you believe these people still called me and told me that there is still something I have to pay for again? As in, it's just crazy. It's crazy. Honestly, I had to pay for something again. Like, I don't understand. The payments never ended. I still keep on borrowing to pay for things that even me, I can't even remember for anymore. As in, it's just mad. It's insane. Telling me way I have to pay for something that has to do, the placement, the office, this and that. I have to pay for it. Oh, so many things there. So, on the day of Salah, you know, I still had to pay for another crazy. It's crazy, honestly. I still had to pay for another shit again, which was the uniform that we're going to be wearing. I'm telling you. So, may I cry to this man? I tell him, say, I don't have that money you're looking for. I am broke as it is. I also called man A and told him I don't have that money. Man A was telling me that I have to try, that I can't allow this thing to stop my destiny, kaza kaza. You know how they will be, how scammers are now. They will be telling you rubbish that can't allow you this to stop your destiny. You need to push forward. So that was actually how I ended up. Okay, let me go and still pay for the something again. After paying, this man now told me I have to pay for clearance, but for him to go there, I have to pay for his fuel to go there. That this is my own problem, is not his own problem. So I have to be the one to pay for the fuel. As in, it's just crazy. Like even me, I realized that I'm really foolish. Honestly, I realized how foolish and stupid I could be for me to have believed all those lies. Well, long story short, I paid for the fuel. I ended up paying for it, and though that's when the final dead end came. They said I should pay for the clearance, which was around 500 and something thousand naira. Before all this, I've already paid a lot, over 100,000. The rest I've paid. And when that finally came, that was the end for me. All the loan apps I had borrowed from, they are refusing to give me any more loans. All the people I know, I've exhausted them. I was just left. I told them, look, I am in a dead zone. I can't pay anything. I told them. The useless man A was now busy shouting on the phone, say, this and that. It was crazy, fam. Honestly speaking. Then man B, could you believe man B, when I told him this, he was saying I should try, that anything I get, I should just send to him. So, man B called the call. I was still in a desperate. They didn't have anything again. I told him I'm broke. Man B still called again, telling me that I still, I need to try and pay everything. Honestly, it was just, it was really, really sad. Honestly, it was just sad. But, all in all, that's how we ended up happening. And I was scammed, honestly. I'm sorry I had to, take a break and actually check one or two. Yeah. So as I was saying, that's how I ended up getting scammed. Honestly, that's how I ended up getting scammed. It was a sad experience, sad reality. And not only did I experience such a devastating situation, I ended up in full time debt. Over 2 point something million naira in debt. Hmm. You know, when you are told back then when you're young, you are told that life is full of opportunities, life is this, life is that, but they really don't tell you the in and out of what life is really all about. They don't tell you the actual realities. They only tell you the good side. Yeah, they only tell you the good side. They don't really tell you the rubbish, the filth, the nasty, brutish, chaotic aspect of life. They don't tell you that. And you would have to learn that on your own. Nobody can teach you that, unfortunately. You are going to have to learn it on your own. So, you know, I came to the realization that the world is a brutal place. And unless you are willing to adapt, unless you are willing to actually make the most of yourself, nobody is going to help you. No one is going to help you. In fact, people around you might even still try to see how they can benefit from you, not even help you. Honestly. And you can't really blame them because it's all embedded in us. It's a survival mechanism. Everyone is trying to survive at the end of the day. Nobody is, out to just die of hunger or, get himself killed. No one is doing that. Everyone is trying to survive. So, it's just sad at how things just ended up, and where I am currently now, unemployed, in debt, and 26 years old. It's remaining 4 years for me to knock 30, honestly. Remaining 4 years. So yeah, I just said let me just share this with the internet. I don't really know why I'm sharing it though. I just said let me share it with the internet. And also I saw a lot of people speaking about their own experiences. I said, oh, me myself, let me add my own to the cake. Since everyone is sharing their own experiences, because basically I don't even know. Well, yeah, that's just about it. That's just it. Although I'm trying to pick myself up, I want to see how I can, try and help myself out of this mess I've put myself in. It's basically a mess. I won't even lie. It's a huge mess. But yeah, if you would like to support me, I just started. I've always been a writer too. That's another thing. I've always been a writer. Even as much as I was a content creator, I've always been a writer as well. So if you would like to support me, yeah, I'll advise you buy my books. Yeah, you can buy my books. Yeah, I sell my books on Seller and Gumroad. So for my international audiences, I hosted it on Gumroad for them to access it through Gumroad. For my African and Nigerian audiences, I hosted it on Seller so that it will be easier for them to pay and it will be easier for them to access the book files as well. Yeah, so if you would like to support me, you can buy my books there. And also, if you want to support me, you can also hit that like, subscribe, and share button, and also comment whatever you feel about the video in the comment section. And if you also have your own experiences you would like to share with me, you can also comment it in the comment section. I will go through all of them. Basically, like I told you, I'm unemployed, so I have a lot of time to go through them. So yeah, thanks for watching the video, and I will be posting the links for the Seller storefront and the Gumroad storefronts. I'll be pasting the links in the description, and I'll also paste them in the comment section. So yeah, thanks for watching and have a nice day.